quite a British way of getting a job. There was it starts with two guys in a pub having a chat.
Adam.
Hello, how are you?
Hello. Thank you for joining us. I'm fine, very much. Let's just start off with one of the most asked questions of all. Just get it out of the way. Why do you sing most of the songs and not Robbie himself?
So Robbie said actually quite nicely in an interview that it was a choice because obviously as a singer, as you get older and you sing more and as many gigs as obviously Robbie has sung, your timbre in your voice changes, and it might be deeper. Obviously it's deeper. When Robbie was 16, obviously it was a lot higher. Now it's obviously a lot lower. Well, not a lot lower, but it's kind of changed in timbre. And yeah, just because obviously, when we see him first in the film, he's like 16 years old, and he's obviously doing his audition to Nigel Martin Smith, and so obviously they wanted someone who could probably replicate him being young, and obviously that then wouldn't take you out of the film. You would be watching it and you would be like, oh, that sounds like Robbie now. And obviously, then people probably ask the question, why don't you use original Robbie recordings? Well, obviously the tempos of the songs have changed, the keys have changed, and obviously the acting in the songs has changed as well. So obviously that's where I come in, and I basically do the kind of young parts of Robbie. I mean, not the youngest, because there's a boy called Carter who does the youngest bits, but yeah, I tend to do like the kind of 16 to the end, and obviously me and Robbie are mixed in some songs as well, which is cool.
And how did you get this job?
Do you know what? It was funny. It was quite a British way of getting a job. There was it starts with two guys in a pub having a chat. One that I used to be in a band with, and another who's a vocal agent. And they were just having a chat over, my friend who I was in a band with always used to say I sounded like Robbie Williams, and we'd play weddings, and I don't know if it's the same there, but in the UK, every wedding has to finish with either like an Oasis song or Angels, so it's like one of the two. We always used to play Angels because I love Robbie Williams anyway. He's one of my people that I grew up with, and Angels, as well. And yeah, they were having a chat in the pub, and my mate always used to say that I sounded like him every time we used to play him. And then they were just having a chat in the pub, and they were looking for someone who sounded like Robbie. He kind of was just cast in for that part, and it was just one of those things where it was right place, right time. My friend always said I sounded like him. It was just kind of an ongoing thing. And then, yeah, that kind of came to fruition. And next minute I'm sending like recordings to these producers in Australia and America. Yeah, that's how it sort of came about. Yeah.
What an amazing story. And from what I've heard, Robbie Williams' management and label did not know it was you singing for a while. Is that right?
Yeah. It was kind of like obviously they probably known that I'd done the part, but at the same time they were unsure which bits they used of Robbie and which bits were me. So yeah, it was like a really weird kind of. I think a lot of people or their team were like, "Oh, whoa, what's happening? Who is this man who's singing?" But yeah, it's kind of, it's kind of cool to hear it from them, that they've been working with him for 30, 40, I don't know how long they've been working with him for, but obviously, yeah, they kind of come and say this, and I've done the job correctly, I guess.
And what was the process like of sounding like Robbie in a recording studio? I can imagine it was a lot of study and training, probably.
Yeah, a lot of studying, a lot of listening to Robbie. So my Spotify Wrapped of 2023 was nothing but Robbie. I think I've said it before. I was like 0.01% of fans in the world because I listened to so many hours of Robbie. But I just had to kind of get into his voice and kind of how he would pronounce different things. And obviously like here we got a lot of like regional accents, so it's trying to like kind of grab parts of that. And Robbie doesn't necessarily sing in like what we would call like a Stoke accent, but he very much sings in kind of like a very specific way. So yeah, it was a lot of training and a lot of going through kind of like different parts of the songs and trying to tweak them, and as singers you always get like habits of the way that I sing a song. So I sung Angels in a particular way, and obviously he sings it in his way, so I had to kind of learn that way. And to be honest, now it's probably more automatically I sing like Robbie. I've listened to some recordings back that I've done, you know, just on my own stuff. I'm like, oh god, I've like really taken this now. It's kind of like a method acting but in the voice. And yeah, that's kind of the main, that was the main challenge really, just kind of like, you know, getting into that mindset. And then obviously in the studio we had like a lot of hours of recording, a lot of hours.
And what mannerisms or tricks that are most recognizably Robbie have you maybe picked up on?
Yeah, I don't. It's probably just the way he sort of. So we probably have like. So the reason I probably got the job is because I have a similar tone of my voice. Like we probably our ranges are very similar, and like overall we probably sound similar. But it's like. It's really hard to explain, but it's just kind of like the pronunciation. Like if you were to sing Angels, you'd have to sing it. It's just like it's really hard to describe. And it's like, if you're not a singer, it just would sound so outrageous, but it's where I place it in my mouth, and where, you know, like, just like the different, it is so crazy. It got to points where we were like writing on a bit of paper, like, so how you would phonetically sing it, so how it actually sounds to you if you were to just kind of say the words. So obviously that got a bit crazy. We would have like lists and like my notebooks were just full of like random scribblings of like, I think if anyone read it, they would be concerned for me. But you know, my actually, funny enough, like my girlfriend read the book after we finished, and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like,
are you cheating?
Yeah, are you cheating on me or something? I was like, who's this person? I was like, no, that's no one. That's Angels written out phonetically.
I saw some backstage footage of you in the studio. I think there was a bit where you were hammering on a certain type of pronunciation for almost 4 hours. Was that the hardest thing to get right?
Yeah, that was a particularly funny moment actually, because it was all I was singing was "and through it" just into the chorus, and it was just
the first bit of the chorus of Angels.
Yeah, or like literally, yeah, like just a pre-chorus, like "and through it," and that was literally, we would go, you know, because when you're singing on like these, and as you probably know, like singing on these like really expensive microphones, like every single thing is picked up, and you think they're like, you know, it's going to be at a cinema on this massive screen with these huge speakers, so like everything has to be like to the T. And I remember just like, yeah, we just would go through it and through it and through it. And like, it was funny because the first time I met the director, he came into the studio one evening, and I think I was about 400 takes in to a song. And I was like, you know, I was like, oh God, he probably thinks that I'm like some sort of, oh, who have we got here? We just got another person, you know, he's but then I find out about, you know, them, how they do their like visual stuff. It's like very much like take after take after take after take. So it's the same thing, but it's just getting it right, really. And God knows how they put it together, because I do not know. The vocal editing people and the music people are obviously geniuses. So yeah, to put all these little takes together must have been very, very hard.
Another take in a movie that I think would have been pretty hard to edit, as it were, is probably the Knebworth scene. They could have easily picked the original recording, the audio recording of the Knebworth concert, but I heard that you were jumping and sprinting around in the studio for 4 hours just to get into the same energy as Robbie was on Knebworth. Yeah,
that was it. I mean, like, you know, when you do it in like a really controlled environment and you're kind of just singing to one microphone, it never like really would sound right. So we would get like a kind of an SM58 microphone, which is what they would normally use live, and yeah, we'd just kind of be like jumping up and down in the studio trying to recreate his movements and how he was kind of moving on stage. And actually, funny enough, that's one of the songs where I think there's a lot of Robbie in it actually, and I only do little bits, but all the bits that I tend to have done have been the bits where I'm kind of jumping around on the microphone. And as well as it was like hard on my voice singing that, because it was like, you know, because there's so much energy, it was like physically draining, because you'd literally just be jumping around. And I had to like stop at one point. I was like, guys, can I have a break, because I feel really lightheaded right now. And that's why it's so fun, you know. And like them sort of things make the recordings like really cool, because you spend so long kind of like doing the same thing over and over again, which is great because you just know what the project's going to be like and where it's going and that sort of stuff. But yeah, for me, like those were the highlights, like those bits where you kind of like doing something that's not tradition, like you wouldn't expect me to do.
Now you studied music yourself, you've majored in singing. As you said, your name is next to Robbie's on the credits, on the ballot, if just to say. What's it like to now have a big breakthrough and #1 album, but not with your own material, with your background?
Yeah, it's like, I keep saying it, it's like the weirdest kind of claim to fame and the weirdest kind of breakthrough that anyone could have. And I think like, having studied at uni and like spent years and years of like recording, and like anyone could only hope for a #1 like album, and like that was obviously #1 in the downloads charts, but they just released that midweek at this moment in time, obviously fingers crossed and everything, that it will be a #1 album in the UK. So that is amazing. Like, I mean, yeah, like I said, like any singer or any like musician would just love to be #1. And I mean, like I've done it on behalf of Robbie in some ways, or we've done it together. Which is kind of a unique experience, and it's like not one that a lot of people will probably experience.
You've sent me your upcoming single. I've listened to it, and I must say it's because I've seen the movie twice now, and I've been following you around since I've seen the movie, and it's such a refreshing sound. Comparing it to the Adam Tucker we know from the movie and we've heard in the movie, but also probably like refreshing in a way of, I don't know this sound yet. What can you tell us about this song?
Yeah, so the song's called Friday Feeling, and I think with Friday Feeling, it's kind of like that. The idea was that it's kind of like a universal feeling. I mean, even if you don't work like a Monday to Friday 9 to 5, you just know what Friday feeling feels like.
When's the song coming out, and what is this song gonna be an ignition to?
Yeah, I mean, so hopefully the song will be coming out. I'm hoping like sort of mid-February is when we're kind of planning to get it out there. It's kind of like that thing of like with this whole Robbie thing. I think I don't want it to kind of be a point where it gets swamped by just like Robbie press and all that sort of stuff. So like when the team feels like it probably is the right time, then we will probably go for the release. But yeah, hopefully it's the start of releasing more original stuff. Hopefully people like it and people sort of like resonate with it, and that's the goal. And only time will tell on that one. But yeah, hopefully people like it. I think it's pretty catchy. So
it is.
Yeah.
I think that's all my questions.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for your more than 22 minutes right now.
No problem.
And
no problem at all.
Best of luck with the release in February, and we'll hope to hear more from you.
Amazing. Thanks, Sebastiaan. Thanks for having
Thank
me
you so
on.
much.
Cheers, mate.
Bye bye.